Welcome to the Poetry Analysis Thesis Statement Workshop for English 102. So today's session should help you get started on your first essay, which asks you to choose a poem and analyze it, specifically in how it explores identity, struggle, or voice. And don't worry, we're going to walk through how to build a strong thesis and an outline to help you start writing your essay step by step. All right, so in this workshop, we're going to review what makes a strong thesis. We'll talk about how to structure your analysis, and hopefully you'll begin drafting your own thesis statement and finally sketch out a rough outline for essay 1. So the goal of this workshop is to leave today feeling confident about where to begin and how to focus your ideas. All right, so your thesis is more than just a summary, okay? It's an argument. You're making a claim about what the poet is saying about identity, struggle, or voice, and how they're saying it. So your thesis should include the poet's name, a definition of how the poem presents identity, struggle, or voice, and maybe include one or two techniques like metaphor, tone, or imagery that help build that definition. So for example, is the poem exploring survival, silencing, anger, empowerment? Your job essentially is to take a position and then prove it through close reading. All right, let's go ahead and look at structure. Okay, so once you've written a working thesis, it's time for you to kind of think about how you'll structure your essay. And you have two outline options here. And each one will give you a different way to approach analysis. So on the left-hand side, we have option 1. So here you would organize by literary devices. So in this structure, you'll group your body paragraphs by the poetic techniques that the author uses, like metaphor, simile, personification, etc. It doesn't have to be those specifically, just using them as an example, okay? All right, so in your introduction, All right, so in your introduction, you'll introduce the poet and the poem, and then you'll clearly state your thesis. And then body paragraph 1, you want to make sure you give background on the author or just a really quick summary of the poem. Body paragraph 2, you'll analyze the use of metaphor or whichever literary device you're focusing on. In this case, say you're using metaphor, and you're going to discuss how it helps define identity. Next, in paragraph 3, you'll analyze simile. So how does it convey struggle? Paragraph 4, analyze personification. How does it reveal voice or silence? And in your conclusion, you're kind of bring all of your ideas together, restate the thesis in a new and fresh way. And then just one quick note as well. So this format is really flexible. You don't have to go in order regarding the poem. So for example, you'll see in option 2 what I'm talking about. You don't have to go in order of each line. The key really for this specific outline is to group your analysis by device, not stanza or line, okay? So it is a little bit more flexible in that way. All right, so next we have option 2. So option 2 will have you organize by stanza or section, and this option works well if the poem has a really clear structure. So here you'll go stanza by stanza, showing how each part builds your interpretation. So in your introduction, you'll again start out with your background, your thesis statement, and then in body paragraph 1, you'll discuss meter and lineation. So does the rhythm or structure shape the tone? Body paragraph 2 will have you close read stanza 1, what's happening and how does it support your thesis. Body paragraph 3, you'll analyze stanza 2, so focus on diction, imagery, or tone. Body paragraph 4, stanza 3. Here, same idea. Just keep connecting back to your main claim. And paragraph 5, you can revisit the stanza or explore how the poem ends. And your conclusion is always wrap up your interpretation, reflect on the bigger message at hand. All right, so either option works. It really just depends maybe on the poem that you're going to be choosing. And it also depends on what makes more sense for how you're trying to analyze it. So choose the outline that you feel helps you stay focused and clear. All right, let's talk thesis templates. So if you're stuck and just kind of trying to start with one of these templates, we have some right here that might be able to help you. So you'll format it as such. So last name illustrates how identity, definition, whatever you're going to pick, or if it's voice, etc., through her use of metaphor in quote the name of the poem. So again, it doesn't have to be specifically metaphor. I'm just using it as an example. And then we have the next one. So we have the poet's last name, the name of the poem, heavily relies on the use of, and then the figured language techniques that you're going to choose to argue that. Oops, so I have to fix that. So for example, identity is the definition of so on and so forth. All right, so let's go ahead and take 10 minutes and just write out a working thesis statement. And remember, I always have office hours if you would like to meet and discuss it a little bit more. All right, so next you're going to be developing an outline. So now that you have a working thesis statement, let's go ahead and outline. So this should take you about 20 minutes just to kind of write out a structure that helps support your claim. Use the sample organization from earlier, or you can also build your own if you'd like. And if you feel stuck, you can reach out to me or the Writing Center to help you kind of start develop that. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. Remember, you're not just summarizing the poem, really important. You're making an argument about what the poet is saying and how they're saying it. So choose a poem that you feel resonates with you the most from the list in the prompt, and kind of think about how that connects to you and how you are interpreting it through looking at their literary figurative devices. But otherwise, it should be fun, be original, be analytical, and just be confident in your interpretation. As long as you can back it up with concrete evidence, you're good. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and I will chat with you all later. Bye-bye.